Hello and welcome to the Frostbite eSports stream. Welcome to our Twitch channel. We're going to be playing, we've got a best of 3 series today for Valanth League Division 2, Week 7. This is the final week for standard games before we get into playoffs. And streaming with me today is, so I am Penumbral Pumpkin, and I am joined by Joseph Armando. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you, mate?
I'm doing all right. I kind of tripped over the intro, but maybe I just.
It's not good. Don't worry about it. You know, we all make mistakes. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna be getting straight into it because there's lots for us to cover before the games start. Hopefully, we're going to start on time. Currently, we're having a little bit of trouble in VL at the minute, just trying to figure out the invitation codes to the tournament. The tournament website is down. So just while they deal with that, we're going to go through some of the patch updates, and we're going to go into the standings and the teams. So we are on, finally, patch 1320. A very, very big patch. Almost sort of like as big as pre-season changes typically are. So, what big change sort of caught your eye as you were going through the patch notes for this patch?
Well, for me as an ADC main, seeing the fact that Jinx's passive can now stack, for me certainly was very interesting. For me, I don't think the health growth is going to be too much of a buff, personally, because if you think about it, going from level 1 to level 16, you're really only going to see maybe about 75 HP or so added on, which really isn't going to do too much for an ADC. However, having the Get Excited now stack, like I said, is probably going to be a massive game changer come the late game team fights, especially if you are around a Baron or a Dragon and Jinx gets the assist on that. That's already one stack before a team fight even starts. You go into a team fight with that, you get one kill on a tank that's too far pushed in or someone who gets caught out, that's a second stack, and then from there, Jinx can very easily run through the rest of the team. The buffs to her ultimate, I don't think are massive. They're not huge, but they will still certainly help a little bit when it comes to her other little buffs.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few of the buffs. I think most of them are fairly minor, so the Galio buffs, no one's playing Galio anyway, so unless they're just trying to get people interested in him. The Ziggs buff was interesting. They're making his explosion bigger, I think, on his Q, but might throw some people big off, but I don't think it's going to be too bad.
Just
like too much difference.
Used to, yeah.
I know. I've already watched Broxer spamming Morgana jungle, so potentially we'll see it more in our solo queue games, but highly unlikely it's going to be brought out since the patch has only been live for a day, maybe not even that.
I was a bit confused at the damage modifier being increased along with the percentage AP going up as well. But hey, I mean, if it means that this champion can find something in the jungle, then cool.
Yeah, I agree. So the nerfs were more interesting. We'll get onto the jungle changes just in a minute. It says the Cassante is adjusted. He got nerfed. I feel that essentially he got tankier, his stuns last longer, and he does less damage. There's a whole lot of changes that go with that, but that's sort of the TLDR. As far as I'm aware, there are no Cassante abusers in this game. So I don't think we'll be seeing him anyway, but just sort of like that's the change on him. But I think the ones which will matter are the Kai'Sa nerfs and the Bel'Veth nerfs. So both Akshan and Bel'Veth got nerfed for high elo because they were just winning too much. But Bel'Veth in particular, I didn't realize her E did 70% damage reduction at level 1. So apparently that was a bit broken and she was getting too far ahead too early on. So Bel'Veth as a carry jungle option, you're seeing in a lot of worlds right now. Essentially that has just been taken off the board. It now does barely, I think it's just over 40% damage. So unlikely to see Bel'Veth based on the jungle changes and that. And the Kai'Sa nerfs, obviously she is almost pick or ban in worlds right now, so yeah, she definitely needed those changes.
It's really just a slight decrease to her base armor. I don't think it's going to be a huge difference come late game and that sort of stuff. It might mean that she has to play just a little bit more safe during the start of the game, but other than that, I don't see it being a massive difference.
Just increasing my volume of my mic just to see how it goes. So if it's a little bit too much, please just let me know in the chat. Right, but we get to the jungle changes, which I'm sure a lot of people are still trying to figure out.
I will leave this one to you.
Yeah, so I can just give what I've seen pro people saying. I won't give you what the jungle subreddit is saying because they say that jungle is on fire. For me, essentially, the smite changes should make smite steals slightly easier, or smite securings, depending on what you like to do. But junglers are less healthy. So on their first and second clear, it is more difficult for AD junglers in particular. So your Xin Zhaos, your Jarvans, your Kha'Zix will be evidently less healthy going through the jungle, particularly on the first and second clears. So much so that Kayn mains, I believe, are basing after their third camp and getting Doran's Blade to get back out on the map and still be healthy to make plays to contest for Scuttle, for example. But essentially what the meta is currently, if you're looking at the solo queue data, it is strong tanks right now are Maokai, Zac, and Rammus, particularly Rammus. So if you see a lot of AD comps on the Rift, I would expect potentially pivots to be able to, I would first time a Rammus based on the win rate he currently has. He has over a 55% win rate, so we'll see if that settles down, but just kind of like he's getting over 5% played in high elo, so certainly the high elo players are waking up to it. And overall, it will take junglers longer to do their clears. The other thing I will say, having played a couple of games of solo queue myself, is that Baron being tankier is, I think, quite an indirect buff to ADC, because essentially you need your ADC to get through that much health. The increase from was it 10,000 or 12,000 to 16,000 plus levels of Baron certainly add up over time, and if the enemy team can contest, they have easily enough time to get there and contest. So you can't burst it down anymore. Essentially, I feel like it is a buff to ADCs because you really need your ADC to get through the health and tankiness of Baron now for that objective to be worth. So that could be very interesting as well. We could definitely see some Baron throws early on, but we'll see how much of an impact it has.
Yeah, it certainly sounds very interesting. I haven't played too much League fairly recently, especially not since the actual changes have come, so I don't know a massive amount.
I mean, I know the last time we played was when we won on Mystics, so that was a few days ago, but yeah, just to do that. Anyway, so that is to do with the patch notes. We're going to go over to the standings now because it's very interesting. So as I said in the intro, this is the last week of the regular season, so this means there are all sorts of interesting possibilities that can happen from the outcomes of these games, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of research into this, and with how it looks like, I mean, in terms of everything Gladiator side, a win or loss doesn't really change much of anything, since they are pretty much guaranteed to go through into the playoffs anyway, because I believe Run and Mirror and Grace Light have both forfeited.
They have.
Yes. So for this, Gladiators, it doesn't really change too much. If they do win, it does give them a lot of momentum going into playoffs. of course, everyone always needs some sort of high hopes. However, for White Rose, it gets very, very interesting because right now they are pretty much guaranteed double elimination no matter what. However, if they win, they're pretty much guaranteed first place no matter what. Even though they did lose against Kamikaze Donkeys, Deja Vu, since that put them at 6 wins, they'll be first. However, if White Rose lose, they cannot get past Deja Vu, therefore they will be at least locked into second or third place, which then will depend entirely upon if Solaris win or lose their match. If Solaris lose, Solaris lock third place. White Rose lose, they are locked second place. White Rose win, they are locked first. If White Rose lose, Solaris wins, then they essentially just get swapped, where Solaris are second and White Rose are third. So for White Rose's sake, this game has a lot of weight to it for them.
It'll certainly make things interesting. So I hope that there will be some White Rose Academy 2 fans in the chat. So please let us know if you're there. So this will be a very interesting game. So because we are the only cast channel that is doing this, so it should be very, very interesting, and we can get to see what could potentially be the best team. Be able to see how they play and just sort of like what they do, because they've only lost this season to Deja Vu Kamikaze Donkeys, so that's the only series that they've lost. So they should be a very, very good opponent, and definitely a team for Frostbite Gladiators to sharpen their teeth on, shall we say.
And with what I've seen in terms of the team comps that White Rose have played as well, they actually play quite a fairly varied roster of comps as well, where there were times when even the ADC one time went Ziggs as well, because I believe there was Kindred in the jungle, which Camry jungle is something you don't see too often, and I don't think it's something we're going to see within these games because of the amount of changes, but you never know what can happen.
Yeah, so most people are in the lobby right now. So we'll just quickly go over the op.ggs. We might only have time to get through White Rose beginning, but just sort of like welcoming them to the channel at least. There should be, if you're familiar with VL and if you're familiar with Frostbite, you should see a few familiar faces. So Elmar in the jungle was on Frostbite Gladiators last season, so nice to see him back and on a very, very promising team. So I remember Elmar had a large part to do with why Gladiators did so well, and yeah, he's clearly doing well again this season. So good to see him back. Mimit Shield has been a staple of both Division 2 and Division 3, and Corey, as in ADC, has been a sub for quite a few for both Mystics and Gladiators, I believe, and certainly a friend of Frostbite. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see all of those three play, as well as to see how they play together as a team.
I've definitely faced Mimit Shield quite a few times. They've beaten me, I've beaten them. It was always back and forth, and always a very fun support to go up against. I do hope at some point we can be teaming up, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. Yep. I have seen that Corey has played with 3 different supports at least in these official series. And quite a bit of Senna as well, surprisingly enough. Senna with Tom Kinch and even Seraphine as well. So I don't know if they're going to be pulling that out again or going to try and go for something different. I do see the fact that they have quite a few games on the Sire, as well as the Misfortune, which, moving on to Gladiators, in terms of the solo queue anyway, Gladiators ADC shot first. I've seen, in terms of solo queue anyway, only plays mainly Ashe and Misfortune. So having Misfortune be that sort of a middle pick is always going to be fun to see.
Yeah, so if we go over to Frostbite Gladiators, since you're bringing up shot first, so
Mm.
definitely the focal point and certainly a huge amount of pressure will be put on by the bot lane. So shot first, congratulations on making Diamond 4 this season. It certainly looks very impressive anyway, and Shimo as well. Both are sort of like a staple of this team and sort of like have been there since essentially the beginning. So yes, they've had a lot of time to build up their synergy now, and yeah, they certainly work well together. And I'm certainly hoping, like I would assume, if Gladiators are going to take a game or the series, they're going to have some standout performances. But they're consistent. They've played well. I'm always very impressed with Shot First in particular, so should be very interesting to watch them. What else have you managed to come across in your analysis leading up to this series, Joseph?
Well, just staying on to Shot First for a second, it's going to be very interesting to see them play, considering that they are in the team that is currently, above me. Since I'm Division 3, they are Division 2. It's going to be very interesting to see what I could potentially learn from this as well, in how they play. But going into it, in terms of the way that these two teams play, with what I have seen, Gladiators tend to go more into the general team fight comp, having a damage dealing mid, damage dealing ADC, and then having some good tank and engage around them. There was that one game against Gracelight where they went a lot more early aggressive focused, and that did seem to work out very well as well. So it'd be very interesting to see whether they stick with this team fight orientation, or they try and go for something a bit more early aggressive.
Yeah. So one thing so you're mentioning about their play last week. So Zika came into the team. She did very, very well. I remember a particular highlight was her Cassiopeia. Yeah, she played very, very well. Made a huge impact, and definitely was one of the reasons why they were able to pull off their first series win. And Damon and HRLD, making sure to say it correct, certainly give a well-rounded comp. They can play carry in early game and tanks. There's a large amount of variety that at least should make the draft interesting.
Yeah, definitely. We do see the Renekton ban coming through, which honestly I did kind of expect, considering that both these players in top lane can and probably will play if given the chance.
Yeah, thank you for telling me. I didn't realize the draft had started. It's silent on my screen. So thank you so much.
First sets of bans have gone through. Oh, there we go. Instant Jinx. We're going to potentially be seeing this improved Jinx come through.
Yes. So yeah, your prediction was right. The Jinx buffs are enough to be first picked here. So that's stable late game AD carry. Interesting that the Ashe has made it through on the side. So Shot First getting his Ashe is interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting to me. They just probably see Misfortune as the stronger ADC to face against, which, depending on what you want to do in your team, I can definitely see. Especially if you think that facing the Ashe earlier on is fine, because come late game, Jinx is just going to scale more, do better than the Ashe.
Yeah. And it's nice to see the Ivern Damon has been playing in the jungle, definitely looking to facilitate this Ashe and bring sort of like the most out.
Yeah, I did see the Lee Sin coming through for Elmar. It's one of their most highest played as well. So just pretty much sticking on comfort for most people.
Yeah, I'll be interesting to see how this Lee Sin plays, because as I was saying in the beginning, Lee Sin doesn't have the strongest win rate in solo queue right now. It is
Rumble's very interesting.
It is. So I'm assuming this can be played both jungle and top. I think it's more likely to be played top lane, looking at the solo queue histories. So yeah, that they've counterpicked the Ornn with the Rumble in the top lane, so there will be a large amount of pressure coming out from that Rumble.
Yes, there was certainly one of the ones I was looking at when looking at both of the top lanes champion pools, considering the fact that Pablo does play quite a few tanks, such as Ornn, Sion, and that sort of stuff. And I did see the fact that XLDR does play things like Renekton and Gangplank and that sort of thing, which don't do amazingly well into these tanks. However, the Rumble makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and particularly as it looks like that White Rose is going for more of a front to back. Definitely having some backline access, since Ivan obviously isn't that backline champ, just being able to drop an equalizer down on top of a backline or across a team, it will always have huge amount of usefulness in later team fights as well. So very interesting.
It can certainly potentially stop the Jinx coming forward. It really depends how that Rumble ult is used.
As we see a little bit of disengage done now with the Brom, so opting to leave probably mid pick until last. Of course, the Rumble can be flexed into the mid lane, but
Ashe and Brom, very good combo. You are pretty much looking at slows upon slows. You're hardly going to ever be able to touch the Ashe because of the Brom, and because Ashe has quite an interesting. Well, I say interesting. Has a because Ashe's attack range is bigger than most ADCs, it makes it a lot easier for her to get those passives done for the Braum. Seems like we're having some issues.
We are having some issues, so this is a staple very much of VL. Essentially, it looks like somebody left. I certainly know. You may have seen a couple of client bugs actually during that selection process. So yeah, potentially champs come up. I've seen recently in the past couple of patches, a couple of champs coming up, like say they're being selected when actually they pick something else and the time's not coming through. So by the looks of things, we're just having a quick reset of somebody's PC to get through this. However, the way that VL works, if you are new to the stream, is that all the picks that we've been talking about will be picked again in the same order, and it will be on White Rose Academy to do their picks for what B4 and B5.
Yes. Another thing about the Ashe and Braum combination is that one of the things that Braum lacks is any form of engage, simply because he is primarily, well, I say primarily, his only thing is to protect, make sure the squishies on the team are safe. With the Ashe, it essentially makes that one big weakness of Braum and just completely, throws it away, because her ultimate is one of the best forms of engage in the game.
Yep. And I feel like it would be very interesting, at least for me, to be able to follow Elmar on this Lee Sin, because it could potentially be weak, could potentially be strong. We do not know because of the current patch. I would think it might be a little bit weaker, but with Frostbite Gladiators not having a true tank and not a huge amount of frontline, bearing in mind, I feel Brom and Ivan are both secondary line tanks. They're not like your Scion or your Ornn or something along those lines.
Yeah, they are not tanks which are going to be trying to disrupt the enemy. They are there to stop the enemy from trying to move inwards.
Yeah, so it could make the Lee Sin more useful, or it could mean that the Lee Sin can't get on top of this Ashe because of the Braum and the Ivan shields. If the Lee Sin gets on top of the Ashe, he will struggle to get through that amount of defense, assuming Frostbite are playing around this Ashe. So I'm really interested to see how Elmar plays this, essentially, for my own personal interest for solo queue, and because this game really matters for White Rose Academy.
Mm-hmm. It would be interesting to see what White Rose use into Braum as well. Because if you have a Jinx, you can look into doing Enchanter, most certainly.
It's very true.
However,
I mean, I don't want to give them too many ideas, because I'm assuming half of them are listening to the stream as we wait for the
of course.
thing. So it's like, oh, I think this would be really good. It's like I don't want to see that and then them come up. But talking about the picks that we've already seen, I think the Ivan could be very, very good. So Ivan obviously is healthy because of his passive Friend of the Forest. He can't be damaged by camps anyway. So, and as far as I believe, I will just have a quick look, but Ivan has the highest win rate in solo queue right now. From Emerald Plus, he has a 55% win rate, so very, very strong on this patch.
Ivan
And
does.
yeah,
Wow, fascinating. I've always seen Ivan as a very, what's the word? You don't expect him to be
Tree-like?
as strong as he is. Especially with Daisy. Daisy is such a strong ability
Yeah.
that a lot of people just seem to severely underestimate it.
Yeah. I mean, Ivan himself does laughably low damage, but the knockups on Daisy are far more. I think the changes
Knockups
maybe
on Daisy,
four
yeah.
patches ago. The knockup is now very consistent in knocking people up, and it's a lot quicker than you think it is. So I've definitely lost all ins in my games specifically, where I have been knocked up by Daisy because I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the enemy AD carry or mid laner, and Daisy can do a lot of work in this fight. It truly can feel like it's 5 versus 6 sometimes.
I will say, anyone from either side, if you are listening, I would very much appreciate at least one Aphelios game, at least one, just so I can talk 40 minutes about him. I'd very much appreciate that.
I wouldn't mind it too because I know nothing about Aphelios, and so I get to actually hear exactly what he does. Because, yeah, it's just his long list of abilities is a lot to read and understand. I'm saying in the chat that it's somewhere in the pick order. Maybe somewhere in the pick order for next game, potentially, since both AD carries are picked.
I would simply love to talk about him at some point. Even if you just hover him once, that'll be enough for me.
Well, I can see some of you are listening, but yeah, just to give people a quick update. Yes, we're having 2 people restart computers. By the looks of it, it's currently Corey that we are waiting for, so potentially she's on an old brick of a machine, but I'm not sure, so we'll see. When she gets back in, we'll start up immediately. So yeah, apologies for the delay. I also really like the Brom pick as well because it counters Ornn so well.
Yeah, it counters Ornn. It can do very well against the Lee Sin, depending, in my opinion, simply because if the Lee Sin, let's say Lee Sin's first Q gets blocked by the Braum, guess what? Lee Sin can just jump in and then just kick the Braum.
Yeah.
Either away so that the squishies on Braum's team are more available, or just kick the Braum into said squishies for quite a good amount of damage. So, to be honest, I feel like this Lee Sin is going to be a very, very important factor for... It was White Worse, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
this is my first time casting. I'm going to be a little bit shaky on things.
Yeah, I'm going to be shaky as well because this will be my first time play-by-playing, so it should be very, very interesting. I've shut all the windows so all the neighbors don't get too annoyed. And yeah, just for the stream's benefit, I'm just going to go through, as we're having a small break in proceedings, just going to go through the standings and some of the stuff that we've already covered. And ask you, Joseph, have you been keeping up with Worlds? Do you follow Worlds? Have you been following what's happening right now?
I haven't really been able to follow too much, simply because I'm either working when it's on, or I'm asleep when it's on. I have been looking at the highlights and that sort of stuff. I did see, I believe it was the PSG ADC on Kaiser getting that quadra kill. Always nice to see an ADC pop off like that, as a fellow ADC myself.
I mean, you're bringing up the quadra kill. Was it loud? I'm gonna fail on who the player was, but game 1 getting a pentakill was in game
really?
1 of their series. Yeah, it was literally the fourth. I think it was like the 4th game played at Worlds, because they're not counting the Worlds qualifying series.
Okay.
So yeah, already to have a pentakill in the playoffs is rare, and it's certainly setting up how I feel like ADCs, particularly Kaiser, is going to be very strong at Worlds. So
yeah, well, it's not the first time, because if I remember correctly, when Upset was on Fnatic, when he got into Worlds with when Rux had to sub in for a bit, he got a pentakill on the which champion was it? Callista.
Rooks. Oh yes, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were speaking about the support, and I was like, I don't remember a support. Yeah.
No,
I remember.
Opposite on the Callista when Rooks had to sub in, I believe it was either last year or 2 years ago. I don't remember exactly. I do remember it was in play-ins when that happened as well, so it certainly has happened in the past, but this early into play-ins is crazy.
Yeah. And of course, there's been both. Well, for me, the highlight so far has been the Golden Guardians versus BDS. I wish Game 1 and Game 3 had been a little closer. I wish NA had showed up a little more. But very happy that the fourth seed of BDS managed to make it into Worlds officially. Since for some reason the Worlds qualifying series wasn't counted. But yeah, interesting.
Well, that's to qualify for Worlds.
Yeah, they still needed to qualify for Worlds the day before Worlds started.
Yes, and they had to fly over there, didn't they, as well? So if they lost that one match, guess what? Bye-bye, back to your country.
Well, it's on the side of BDS at least, I was very happy for them that they managed to win because Golden Guardians had been there for like a month. They'd been scrimming, they'd been hard grinding, sort of like against other teams. But BDS went on holiday and only turned up like maybe a week before. And so if they lost, I think they would have got absolutely slaughtered on social media and stuff. They won, so they get a bye. But considering they've just lost against it was Team Wales, so the PCS, I think it's the PCS second seeds.
Okay.
Yeah, they're sort of like, they're now in the losers brackets, and they now have to work their way up. So there'll now be pressure on them to go through, as they will be expected to.
Yeah. Man, there's quite a bit of, I mean, to be honest, when it comes to the pro scene and low, it's always quite entertaining to see what it was. Well, and also speaking of the pro scene, Rickless is now officially LF Fnatic as well.
Yeah, thank you, Harold, just in the chat, just reminding me that Team Wales is the VCS second seed and Flying Oysters are the PCS second seed. It's because they've just played each other today that I'm getting those confused. But yes, thank you for correcting me in chat there.
It will just be fascinating to see which teams do make it through to the actual group stage, and if we ever see a dark horse make it through into the playoffs again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I genuinely can't wait for the Swiss stage coming up. It's going to be so. I'm very used to the Swiss stage personally. I played a lot of chess growing up, and just in the UK, Swiss format was what was decided on who plays who. It's very common. And also sort of like, obviously, League of Legends takes ELO from chess as well, and it takes a lot of different comparisons. So, yeah, very excited because then you get the good matches very, very early on. You get like the top seeds all going against each other. And then for the teams who are not expected to win, they're not getting slaughtered by the top teams. They're fighting for survival against teams they can beat. So, yeah, the Swiss stage should be very, very, very interesting.
I'm just reading it right now. So style format with 5 rounds.
Yeah, so essentially it's random best of ones until you reach either 2 wins or 2 losses, and you're always put up against people your scoreline. So if you win one, the next game you will be against another team which has also won one. You will not be put against a team that's lost one. So
it's still format with 5 rounds. Matchups will be drawn at the end of each round. Teams with 3 wins advance to stage 3, while teams with 3 losses are eliminated.
Yeah.
Qualification and elimination matches are best of 3. All other matches are best of 1. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lovely YouTube video if people want to go watch. But yeah, very, very good. Definitely worth checking out Worlds for that. And also there'll be a lot more loot that drops as well. I make sure that my stream is turned on every day to get the free emotes and prizes and rewards. I don't know if anybody else is doing that. Just let me know in chat. Because sometimes you don't get the rewards, so just let me know if people have been getting theirs, because I haven't been getting mine. So
that is interesting. I actually can't wait for that. It's something new, and it's something which, Care could potentially have a dark horse come through.
Yes. For any players who are currently listening, if you could just let me know if there's any update on when the start is going to be, because I'm half tempted to cut to a short break as we wait for essentially the first game to start, as we sort out the PC issues. Okay, so they're trying to sort it out. So what I will say, I'll make the executive decision rather than keep rambling on, is we're going to go through to a break, and we're just going to put some music on in the background, and then when draft gets going, we will see you back then. So see you in a minute, folks. And whilst everyone here, if you wouldn't mind giving the Twitch channel a follow, it's much appreciated. Hello, and just to give everybody a quick update on what is happening with the games and the draft and so forth. So, because of the time delays which White Rose Academy have done, they have forfeited Game 1, meaning that if we get into Game 2, there will be a completely new draft. I believe with the same side selection. Currently, we are still experiencing technical difficulties on some of the players. So essentially, they have 8 minutes to sort this out. Otherwise, they will forfeit the series, which would be unfortunate. They are currently online and trying to sort out the tech issues now, but the series should take place. If you are still here, thank you very much for sticking with us. Hopefully, we'll be getting into games soon. Thanks. Right, and welcome back. We are finally back into draft. And yeah, so just to recap, just to give a verbal explanation of what I've posted in chat. But yes, White Rose Academy have forfeited Game 1 due to the loss of time, essentially. And one player had some technical issues that they believe have been sorted out. So this is... essentially, we're getting into Game 2 now of this best-of-3 series.
And because of that also means that the draft has technically been reset as well.
Yeah, so we get to go through all new picks.
Yeah, exactly. Different bands, different picks. Oh, please.
And yeah, once again, just for the people who are still here, thank you so much for sticking with us. Really appreciate it. Hovering the Aphelios, just as we asked.
They're probably not going to pick it, but
I know, he said you'd talk about it.
I'm happy nonetheless. I'm happy nonetheless. Well, I mean, Aphelios into Aferis isn't the best of matchups, but it's still fine. I still expected the Ash to come through.
Yes, I mean, yeah, with the MF being banned, and yeah, it was sort of natural that the Ash was going to come through. Interesting, they also banned the Janna. I know Shimo is known for being a enchanter player, but it's not. It's not even his most played enchanter. So it's interesting they've gone for the Janna. Maybe they just don't want that level of disengage.
It is definitely interesting, but they probably just, like I said, they probably just don't want something that can potentially stop an all-in sort of comp.
Yeah,
especially if you're going for the Lee Sin, it does make it does make sense.
It's interesting. So we're getting a very similar draft to Game 1. My question is, why do you think they've swapped off the... Oh no, it's the Jinx was banned. That's why they...
Yes.
That's why they've picked the Varus. Sorry, I didn't see that. It's interesting that the Nasus was banned out, and I suppose the Zed on the side of Gladiators.
Yeah, I mean, Nasus is Popular's most picked champion in solo queue. I don't really see Nasus doing good in a team-based environment. I could be wrong, but in terms of solo queue, yeah, it's his highest. I believe the same with Zed as well for Nero. That's his highest as well.
As we do see slight deviation from Draft 1, so instead of the Rumble being picked up on R3, we have the Braum, which was picked up on R4 last time. So they're not able to ban out that Braum, which they might have assumed was coming, and instead have guaranteed that Freljord bot side.
It's pretty much going the same as last time, except for the Jinx, because she was banned. We now have the Varus as well, which is what Corey was playing alongside the Senate as well. Like in terms of official games, I believe Senate is the highest, along with Varus, and then there was of course that 1-6 game as well.
Yes. Yes, it's interesting. I definitely think that the ban of the Jinx makes sense. I definitely think that Varus gives you less firepower. So a Jinx would just have more firepower than the Varus. Slightly more utility with the ultimate, but just sort of like... I still think this is a slight downgrade for White Rose.
It is certainly a slight downgrade, especially considering the Jinx buffs. However, the one thing that Varus has over Jinx is the fact that Varus is quite versatile in what he can go. He can go straight, he can go crit, he can go on hit, he can go lethality as well. So it's really all dependent upon what the team need from him.
Yeah, and last time they had the backline access in some of the Rumble that was banned out, so this time they've gone for the Camille, which makes a lot of sense, so able to get to that backline and have that flanker and that dive champion there.
And it's also a pretty good pick into Ornn as well.
Yeah, so should be fine in lane as well. We see the Orianna picked up, very strong champion, as people will be watching Worlds, and Thresh to round out their comp, with the Silas final pick.
I don't like Thresh into Braum, personally, simply because when it comes to most forms of engage, Braum simply laughs in their face. Especially because Thresh essentially allows himself to get closer to the ADC. It essentially means that all Braum needs to do is jump on his ADC, hit Thresh a couple times, Ashe can walk away, get the stun, Varus can't really do much as well because of the Braum as well. So, with what I'm seeing, I think Mimic Shield has countered themselves here. But they might be wanting to go for, the overall team fight, which is also fine. It just means that in terms of what happens in lane, it won't be as effective as what they want, unless they want to get onto the Braum so that they can get a good kill for the Lee Sin, potentially.
Yeah, and let's not, as we currently are going to our 3-minute delay that we have here on VL, but let's not forget also the huge, with this almost dive comp, on the side of Frostbite Gladiators, the Thresh Lantern will be very useful. Obviously, might struggle with the Camille's. Was it Hextech Ultimatum? So obviously can't take a Lantern out to safety. But yeah, both melee solo laners on the side of gladiators, so definitely looking to get stuck in. So that Thresh Lantern, even though will struggle to find a decent hook target or might struggle, I think the Lantern will be very, very key in some of these team fights, just to give that Varus that little bit of space, assuming like there's a lot of dashes on the side of gladiators and
But then
Varus
you
does
also
not.
look at the Silas as well, and you look at the ultimates which he can get. Ornn ultimate, Lee Sin ultimate, Varus ultimate, even Thresh ultimate. Some very, very good ultimates for that Silas as well. So team fights are going to be very, very interesting to see.
Yeah. So please write in chat if who do you believe won draft. I think there's two very different style of comps here, so it'll be very interesting to see which team gets ahead. But let us know who you are favouring in chat, and let us know who you think is favoured for this game too. But yeah, I do like the Ivan is good, and I understand why they're picking the Ivan. It's very strong at the minute, but a Sejuani would also be incredibly strong here, just because of the melee solo laners and stuff. It's just also would fit off the Freljord almost perfectly. So
you need a bit more versatility, At least with Ivan, you have someone who was originally from Noxus, I believe that was his law.
Yep.
Yep. So you have so you got Piltover, you got Demacia from Silas, Noxus, and then Freljord as well. It's just a very nice regions of Runeterra.
And one thing I think the Ivan definitely gives is that little bit of early game. Ivan is strong on 1 to 2 items, building support items. He will get to his power spikes way before most other junglers, particularly in this reduced clear speed meta as well. So, yeah, just being able to potentially throw down a redemption in a team fight or a Drake contest could be really key in turning around some of these early to mid game fights. So, yeah, definitely having an Ivan early on that's just able to just throw a shield on whoever is trying to be focused down, which usually happens in these skirmishes. So, yeah, it will be very, very interesting as we're just counting down the final 10 seconds before we get into Game 2 of this Valanth League Division 2, Week 7, Best of 3 series.
Yes.
So what do you suppose we will see as early pathing from the junglers?
It really all depends upon who they want to get ahead, really. Because if I'm looking on Gladiator's side, I'm seeing Silas, I'm seeing Ashe, and I'm seeing Camille. I'm seeing 3 lanes which you can do quite a, good ganks into. Camille can beat the Ornn fairly early on, and with the added help of the iPhone, that could certainly secure something. Silas into Orianna, I don't know mid lane matchups that much. I do see the Orianna being able to buck up the Silas quite a bit, but if there's a sort of all-in fights, Silas would definitely win that. But then you look down in bot lane, as you said, there is still that Thresh Lantern, but if the White Rose bot lane push up a little bit too far, that's just where Ashe and Braum shine. And if you add an Ivan into that, I think you can very easily see 1 guaranteed kill. So for Ivan, you have options available to you. With Lee Sin, you are looking more towards that mid and bot, unless you want to try and counter gank into top lane. But if I was Lee Sin, I would be just looking at Orianna, looking at Varus, and trying to get one of those to ahead.
Yeah, just double checking that you are also not in game just yet.
Not yet, no. Mine's still at 0%.
Yes, there does seem to be a little bit of a delay getting into the game, which we're just going to keep talking through. Hopefully, there's no more tech issues. But yeah, I definitely think that you're talking about the Orianna being able to poke out the Silas. I definitely think if the Silas has taken second wind, which he has gone resolve for the second tree, and potentially takes sort of D-shield or takes more defensive runes, definitely able to survive the Orianna poke, which comes through little by little. As we are finally into game, at least on my end.
Yep, I'm going to pause at 10 seconds.
I will pause at 20 because I'm slightly past that. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. I'm paused on 20.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
It's going to be very, very fascinating to see where this goes. I'm really looking forward to this game.
Yeah, it should be good as we see almost standard 5 points. Sort of, I don't know, Camille not fancying going into that dry brush. But we see brush control taking over here on the bot side of the map. So Brom just getting down that early ward and backing for a sweeper just to try and get brush control. With these 2 melee supports, it can be really key to sort of like have vision in there. And by the looks of things, Thresh doesn't have a sweeper, so they're going to have vision in there for at least the first couple of levels, which can be really key in these melee versus melee matchups.
Yeah, especially if you are a Lee Sin. I know at least before the before this patch, you are looking at those fairly early ganks into bot, into mid, trying to get something sorted. I don't know how it's going to be.
Oh, as we see, the Lee Sin just taking a little bit of slap and tickle there, just for invading and trying to put some vision down. So he will need a very big leash for his blue buff, so he doesn't get too low.
Yeah, that is a bit of an oopsie on Omar's part, in my opinion. Trying to get something that late and probably not expecting the Camille.
Ooh, he's going to try and solo that without smiting. I think that's a little brave. Does manage to finish it off, so Lee Sin does make it over to 2, but bearing in mind he started on blue, it will make the first clear very slow and very unhealthy.
We are also starting to see that poke coming through from the Orianna in the mid lane as well. Sada's already pretty much at half HP. Most likely being forced to use one of his potions, yep.
Yeah. So this was one of the things that Riot wanted to make stop happening, is that junglers were getting increased win rates. So I believe on Hecarim it was an increase of 3% increased win rate by not buying potion at the beginning. Purely because junglers just didn't need the sustain. So this is one of the things that they wanted to counter. And both junglers immediately popping their potions does suggest that at least those nerfs were warranted, at least, or at least have had an effect on the game so far. But it will be interesting to see if this Ivan can go, because usually Ivan needs red buff on his 5th or 4th camp. It would be interesting to see if they miss with Ivan's unusual clear, but seems like he can make it almost fully. So the Ivan clear isn't affected. It's probably why he's got such a high win rate in solo queue so far.
Yeah, it does seem like with how unique he is, and with these changes, that he would be the one to benefit the most. Although I am at least seeing with how these current states are in the lanes, there's not really much Ivan can do about it, other than potentially trying to get some deep wards into the blue side jungle.
Yeah, interesting to note that even with that big leash that the Ornn gave him, the Lee Sin is finishing his Raptors around about now. So yeah, finishes almost at 340. So Scuttlecrab had been up for 10 seconds even before he finished. As we see sort of the 2 junglers looking to meet around this mid lane. Oh, as we see the... Oh, flashes in from the Lee Sin and maybe burning down through red buff, but it looks like he's going to survive. Yeah, very, very fortunate on the side of Damon that he was still able to put the shield after missing his route.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where even though you don't get the kill, you are at least ensuring that the lane opponent does have the back, so you can get a little bit more pressure.
Yeah, and you're able to force the TP out, so this will be teleport advantage.
The teleport advantage, although Orianna is most likely going to use hers just to get back quickly. Maybe not.
Oh, as we see, just a little bit of trading. I don't think this will be a huge all-in. I was wondering what you think of the Ornn start of a Ruby Crystal to start off the lane instead of going for these now upgraded Doran's items.
It is very fascinating to me, especially with the fact that they have been buffed by a pretty decent amount. You would expect, having to face something like the Camille, which is going to be doing a lot more, damage onto you, thanks to her mobility and of course the little bits of bonus damage that she can.
As we see, the Camille going for an all-in has ignited the Ornn, but don't think he's going to be able to get there. And the Lee Sin coming in for the first blood. Lovely counter gank there for the Lee Sin for first blood on Elmar. As we see, just able to get that Thresh Lantern away. So currently having a fairly decent thing on that. So yeah, first blood going over to White Rose.
It wasn't even a counter gank. The iPhone wasn't anywhere near. It was just pretty much the decent being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, as we do see the Ivan just showing his face, trying to sort of like see if there's anything on the other side of the map, but hasn't been successful so far. I do apologize on behalf of the stream. The teams are currently shown the wrong way round. We do have Frostbite on red side, which is on the right-hand side, and White Rose are on the other side. So we see the Ivan just taking a little bit of poke. And flashes, actually. We didn't actually see that, but the Ivan just flashed in the river there. So, yeah, the pressure coming out from the Orianna was a little too much there.
I mean, was that potentially a fat finger or something? Because I don't think the Ivan wasn't any...
As we see the all-in, the Thresh getting very low. Will this ignite? Burn them down? It will! And Shimo punishing the overextension here. As we see the Lee Sin having to sort of getting pincered off here, but able to just safeguard out there and no follow-up to be had. But yeah, the Thresh trying to get a little greedy there with the positioning, trying to freeze that wave, and Shimo punishes that hard.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of knew the fact that the Ash Braum was going to be able to run lane, but that was just a little bit greedy from Mimichu trying to freeze the wave, especially with the HP that they were at, and it cost him his life.
Yeah, yes it did. I'm just trying to change the stream as it is, just to try and change the two different things. So just talk amongst yourselves for a little bit, just as I do this. I'm not going to. Yeah, it's going to be wrong. I am afraid for the second game. Actually, I will hide it. Probably makes it a little easier. So yeah, just checking in on the game state. So we have 1 kill each. Gold is fairly even, as we see the first Drake has gone down to White Rose here.
Yep, there's a good 200 or so difference in the jungle right now. You're also actually, even though
yes, you're right, almost exactly 200.
Yeah, even though there has been more pressure on the
as we see a little invade here, seeing the Braum just trying to disrupt, and we see Daisy coming through and a collapse coming in from Frostbite here. So can White Rose get out of here alive? It looks like they're turning on the Orianna, and they burst down the Silas for the first kill of the fight. Shimo trying to flash forward to get on the Lee Sin, but don't quite make it forward. But this Corey is following up with the damage here as Shot First tries to return with the damage himself. Snipe not quite able to get the Ash there. Potentially could have gone for the Braum, but yeah, all in all, it's the one for as the goes back in. Lee Sin manages to assassinate the Thresh, the Braum, sorry, and kill the Ivan for an additional 2 kills. I thought that fight was over, but they kept it going and got an additional 2 kills. So that's 3 kills for 0 the side of White Rose.
Well, Gladiators just got a little bit too greedy at the end there. Braum trying to get a kill on, I believe it was the Thresh, which at that point ended up just 2 more kills being given over to White Rose. And also, pretty much at the start of that fight, I don't know if you saw, but the Silas was actually channeling the Orianna ultimate, but couldn't get it off as he died just beforehand.
Yeah.
Maybe if he had got that off, that might have been a little bit of a different fight, because then that Lee Sin would not have been there.
Yeah. As we see the Hextech ultimatum coming out, but Ornn very much under his turret, so the Ornn managing to trade here against the Camille. Still managing to go all in. Ornn will slightly run out of damage, although he's flashing forward here with the Lee Sin close by, looking to finish off this Camille. Hookshot landing, though, managing to get out, so HLRD just getting away from by the skin of his teeth there.
Not entirely sure if I agree with using the ultimate there for the Camille, just with how close the Ornn was to his tower already, especially with just how tanky he is, and with how little damage that she currently has. I don't see any world where the Camille would have gotten that kill.
I would agree, as we see the junglers looking to contest for Rift Herald here. By the looks of things, the Lee Sin did get it, as we see Daisy trying to pull Disruption. But it looks like White Rose will manage to make it before, as we see separate 1v1s. Frostbite Gladiators are going on top of this. Orianna, which double shockwave onto two of them, manages to pop the Lee Sin. The Sylas and Camille managed to finish off the Orianna, but it's still a 2-for-1, as this Camille looks like she's trying to get out of dodge. So once again, a skirmish going away of Frostbite, of White Rose there, mainly on the back of priority being had by White Rose. As we see a flash done by Meat Shield here. Oh, the all-in is being going. Ult's being thrown out, but a hook by the Thresh underneath the tower means that the Varus gets a double kill there. So, yeah, it looked promising before the Ashe was hooked under tower there, which leads to a nice double kill.
Well, once again, it's just fighting in an area where you really shouldn't be. You know, fighting so close to the enemy turret, you're pretty much asking for something like that to happen.
Yeah, I would agree. Just slight overextensions here from both side lanes here. So, yeah, and now things are looking difficult. So, with this Varus being 3-0 and this Lee Sin being 5-0 already, already with that gore drinker, this Lee Sin's very much accelerated. So, we were talking at least in the analysis for Game 1 that this Lee Sin would be pivotal, but yeah, it seems to have taken over in this Game 2.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one on Gladiator side, simply because, you know, you've tried all this stuff and it's just come up wrong most of the time, and you're now looking at a 3k deficit, which isn't the end of the world, certainly not. But I would certainly say at this point you need to sort of slow it down a little bit, sort of take a breath, and then start talking to each other, understand what you can do, what you can't do, and try and see what to play around.
Yeah. The communication, and as we see the Daisy being popped, they're trying to catch out this Thresh. Damage being slightly lacking, as we see sort of a double collapse here from the jungle and mid laner. TP coming in, but this Sylas is still being dived upon. Currently, the Hextech Ultimatum has trapped this Lee Sin. Lee Sin has managed to be able to get out. And the Sylas goes down, trying to finish off this Lee Sin, but he's just too tanky to be burst down. And White Rose still managed to get another pick. Very, very fortunate for that Lee Sin to survive and to be able to bait almost the Sylas in.
I didn't see if the Ashe had...
As we see the Camille going in, like potentially with the damage that's here, the Camille should definitely be able to do this as the shockwave used for disengage, but the Ignite still manages to burn down the Orianna as the Ornn just has to run. Very much lack of damage. Oh, but the Lee Sin's here, able to take out the Ivern, who's not having the best of games. This Lee Sin will be able to do up the fight now. Can the Camille out-damage the Lee Sin? We shall see, as we see... able to get the resonating strike off. So the shutdown goes over to the Camille by killing the Lee Sin, but the Lee Sin does manage to get the Braum for a trade.
Oh, that is still good for the Camille. The only one other than the Braum to actually have kills, and now having 4 of them, along with the Sunderer, and now potentially being able to get a good half of her next item. She is definitely going to be a very big reason as to why, you know, Gladiators might still be able to come back in for this.
Yeah, so a couple of things to note just in the way these team fights are going. These Orianna shockwaves, they haven't got any kills, but they have been very, very useful. As we see the Sylas just going forward, I think when he sees the Lee Sin, I think he will back off there as the Rift Herald has dropped forward. But yeah, it's sort of like it's all on this Camille now. What can this Camille do in a side lane, and what can they do for the dive? As we see the Shelly charging to get a few plates in the mid lane.
Yeah, going back to that one fight, I don't know if the Ashe had her ultimate, her arrow, when the Lee Sin went in that deep. But if she did, I feel like she should have really shot that just a little bit earlier, just to ensure that Lee Sin did die.
I would agree, but I wouldn't blame the Ashe not firing the arrow, because I thought the Lee Sin was dead. I didn't think he was being collapsed on by the Silas from behind. The Hextech ultimatum meant he couldn't get out. I didn't think he was going to live. So I wouldn't entirely blame that on the Ashe if the arrow was not fired during that fight, because Elmar there managing to get away was very, very good.
I do understand where you're coming from, but to me, it's you ensure something happens other than just anticipating. If you can guarantee something, do it.
Yeah, just the Brom taking a little bit of damage there, nothing to worry.
Yeah, but this is, well, not when the Lee's in here, but with how the wave state is now, this is where you want the it to be.
As we see an all-in going on the bot side, can the Brom get away? No, the Varus damage is so much. Potential insect happening, but the Ashe flashed away behind, so able to get away. As we see them going all in on the Brom, and the Ivan is on the board. So both teams going to different sides of the map. As we see the Silas going all in on the Orianna, managing to get into the mid lane. Flash shockwave from the side of the Silas, and we see why this Silas does eventually outscale this Orianna, managing to get a solo kill in the mid lane.
Also, a very important thing here, Camille got the first turret gold, taking it away from this Varus, who is also quite a bit ahead now, thanks to everything that has happened.
Yep. Definitely. So, with the objective up looking like going to be a Rift Herald. Good predict by the Thresh there to being able to hit the Silas. Looks like the Silas can't get it out. Very good predict hook there by Mimi Shield.
One more kill onto the Lee Sin as well. This Lee Sin and this Varus.
Yes, I was going to say who's favoured for this Rift Herald fight. With the pick in the mid lane, it seems less relevant now.
Yeah. But still, very good things from both junglers, having seen the fact that they went all in down in the bot lane.
Yeah.
Damon simply came with the Camille top lane, killed the Ornn, got that turret. They do have to give this up, sadly.
Yes, they do. So, what is going through in the comms right now? So, like, you've been in coordinated teams for many different seasons. Which team do you think has the best scaling, just looking at the comps? As they are.
Just by looking at the comps, it is very interesting, because when you have things like the Camille, the Silas, and the Ashe, the Camille and the Silas do certainly do better earlier on. In fact, you're probably seeing that sort of big power spike, or the first power spike for the Camille anyway, coming through, dealing so much damage to the Ornn, the Silas 1v1ing the Orianna. When it comes later on, if they can save, I do feel like Gladiators is a bit better if they can ensure that they can keep this Ashe alive.
Yeah.
But overall, if things stay as they are now, it could still go either way. It's not a massive difference in gold between the two sides. We're looking at
as we see the Silas going for the all-in. The Ivan is close by, but it looks like everyone's collapsing. But the ADC and Lee Sin are there. Will they continue? Also, they go forward. They get the flash out of the Orianna, and I think the play will end there. So, yeah, managing to get the flash off this Orianna could be very useful in the future.
Very good predict on the Orianna as well as that Ivan getting that. Is that his Q?
As we see the ult thrown out, I was just wondering if a fight would happen, but no, TP's burnt for both the Camille. As we see the Camille going in on the Ornn, I'm not sure that's your favourite target that you want to be going for. As we see the Ashe being hooked there by the Thresh, taken down first off, we see the Camille diving onto the Lee Sin. Almost a front-to-back team fight going now. They're on top of the Varus. Can they pop this Varus? They managed to get the Varus, as it's 2 for 2 currently, as it looked like the fight fizzles out, 2 for 2. Ooh, takes it under tower.
Very, very good.
Ooh, okay. Still 2 for 2.
Yeah, it is very confusing as to why the Camille would go in at the start there, considering that, chances are, they would have seen White Rose be in that bottom river. However, 2 for 2, I do think that certainly goes more along the favour of Gladiators, considering that they are the ones who are technically behind at this point in time.
Yes, yeah, I would agree. So if you're behind, trading evenly is what you want to be doing and looking for these fights. So these fights seem to be very, very chaotic, which I think definitely favour Frostbite Gladiators.
Well, come on. I feel like most VL games do get quite chaotic at certain points. This is not professional level League of Legends, but it's fun League of Legends.
It is very fun League of Legends. I'd like to think there is some level of coordination that goes on in VL. I mean, you can let us know in chat if you disagree or not. But, I feel like there can be some good coordination that happens within teams. But the double dive, the Ashe, the Brom, I think definitely these chaotic fights do favour Gladiators. But this front to back, as you see, White Rose just setting up here now for the Drake. As we see Frostbite ignoring the Rift Herald in the mid lane, so lost a tower there as we just see them staring at each other, just sort of sizing each other up. I don't think Camille knows that she is on vision, as we're kind of just waiting for an Ornhorn to be pulled or someone to get caught out or the Thresh hook to land. Oh, as we see it going in, Ornhorn is culled from the Silas as they're looking to focus down the front line. The Camille is in the back line but does get caught out by the Thresh and is able to be executed before able to get any of the damage off. It's still 1-for-1, but the Silas is going very low after another excellent hook by Meat Shield here. As we can see, Can the Ashe flashing forward, looking to go for the back line, doesn't quite have the damage to get it off. And unfortunately it means that White Rose will just manage to kill all other members. The Ivor managing to flash away, but probably not long for this world, as we see an ace coming out for White Rose in a 5-for-1 trade.
Yeah, this does mean that White Rose are going to be getting the dragon. It does just feel like the players on Gladiators are just trying a bit too much to try and get that one extra kill, which is really doing more harm than it is good.
Potentially. I might disagree with the phrasing on the fact that I think they're just approaching the team fights incorrectly. So I feel like the Camille and the Silas are trying to run at them from through their front line. And I almost feel like, with no TPs up, they need to be looking for flanks. They need to be trying to get on the back line by just walking around them. Let them just have the main body of Gladiators just back off a little bit. And then just have, either Camille or the Silas or both just being able to flank around and get on top of these carries just a little bit easier. I felt like the fight was decided halfway through and the Silas just walked at the Varus and he was bursted down just a little too quick.
Yes. Once again, I understand where you're coming from. It is just, what the Ashe did afterwards, I don't think was necessary. I think at that point you just have to sort of accept the fight is lost. You have to give it up, walk away with your life. Don't give them any more gold.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely they do need to start looking for some ambushes, for some pincer attacks, pincer maneuvers. Most certainly. And
even though Frostbite is behind nearly 5,000 gold, I still feel as we see a very quick pause, but we're back into game already. As we see the quick in-game pause for the pause that they already did. I feel like Frostbite do have the advantage of side lanes, so both the Silas and the Camille should win side lanes and probably do. And I feel like Frostbite need to leverage this more when they have all TPs up.
Yes, definitely. I definitely do agree with that. It is then just dependent upon ensuring that the Ivor and the Ashe Brom don't push too far. Because if they get caught out before the Camille and the Silas can get their TPs through, and
as we see
the enemy.
The Baron being started and TP coming in, so it looks like a team fight is going to take place. Ashe ult used to start off as we see the Brom on the front line soaking the engage as the Camille goes in on the back line. This is the sandwich we were talking about as we see Corey being focused in the middle and goes down with the Ashe still firing off in the back line. This is looking like a very good fight for Gladiators so far, as we see both the Silas and the Camille diving on the two people that are left. And looks like this Orianna is not long for this world. The Lee Sin is alive and still available, with Smite available, but looks like Frostbite Gladiators is going to go, and we're going to see if the Camille can 1v1 this Lee Sin. He very much can't. I seriously doubt that they're able to finish off this Baron anymore without that front line available and without that damage.
Yeah,
but they're
once
still
again,
stick on
just
it.
being a little bit too greedy.
Frostbite are sticking on this, so this is the increased Baron. Remember, we were talking about this for the draft for Game 1. That, yeah, it's very, very tanky. Potentially, the Lee Sin could go in on that queue, but it looks like Frostbite Gladiators are wisely just going to back off here and just take those resets for when people get back onto the map. But all in all, good fight for Frostbite Gladiators, who managed to trade up 4 kills to 2.
Very, very good fight. Getting that the ambush upon the Varus, which is what you wanted them to do, and they delivered in the next team fight.
Yeah.
You know, that is a very big damage output on White Rose's side out of the equation.
Yeah.
And everything was definitely going fine. Again, there's just small little things which gladiators don't need to do, and it's just, you know, taking away whatever momentum they had. If they had the Camille for that Baron, I feel like just having her as a threat alone for that Lee Sin would stop him from trying to go in, or at least
as we see White Rose here starting off the Baron, knowing that the Camille isn't there, and by the looks of things, they have no idea. Frostbite have no idea that this is being taken. A Hawkshot comes through with only 4,000 health left on the Baron, and it is gone. Sort of Frostbite caught napping there.
Yeah, very smart on White Rose's side. They likely know that they're in the lead, that they have enough damage to melt through that Baron, in which they did so. They now have it, and that just means Baron, empowered minions.
Yep. As we see the Silas just split pushing in the top lane with TP. So let's just have a look at the gold. What are the sort of gold discrepancies that we are seeing? Who should be the large playmakers for the next Drake fight that's coming up soon?
Well, you're looking at the Lee Sin, you're looking at the Varus, both of them now over 11,000 gold. Varus nearing 12,000.
As we see the Ivan face checking here, and just immediately pop. The Silas isn't even there as the Camille is going in, trying to pop Corey on this Varus, but just sort of like goes down almost immediately. The Silas goes back in, manages to trade himself 1 for 1, but this is the damage has mostly been gone now, as there's only the Ashe left. As we see Thresh trying to get on top of this Ashe, but the Ashe is still managing to pump out the damage, but still, sadly, there just isn't enough health bars or team members left to be able to do anything. As we see with the Baron buff, sort of White Rose looking to almost end here.
With the damage they have, there is a very good chance that they actually do end it. And it's just like I've been saying, gladiators are just doing little things which they don't need to do. And in this case, it's most likely game ending as well.
Yeah, but very well played by White Rose. Just slight execution mistakes, and I feel like this was a very close game. Certainly a very good game on the side of HRLD. But yes, we will see White Rose Academy 2 take Game 2 of this Best of 3 series.
Even from early on, White Rose were very coordinated. They knew what they wanted to do. Even if it was a little bit messy from Gladiator's side, they still did very well in certain fights.
Yep, they very much did. Yes, just apologies as I am quickly just sorting out the stream. Yeah, it should say 1 for 1. Just give me a second. Oh, I'm doing this live on stream. It's a little unprofessional, but oh well, I'm sure you guys will forgive me. Yeah, so it is 1 for 1, obviously, with Frostbite Gladiators taking Game 1 due to forfeit. So, yeah, here we have we'll be going into the final game very, very soon. As we're just going to have a quick break, so we're going to need to go grab another cup of tea as we wait for the players to get into the to lobby. So, see you guys in 5 minutes. So, welcome back to what will be Game 3 of this Best of 3 series. So, final game of the regular season for both these teams, with a lot on the line, at least for White Rose. So, still requiring that final win to guarantee themselves top spot. Otherwise, potentially they could go down to third place if Solaris have a good week. So, yeah, all to play for White Rose at least, which should make this a very interesting Game 3. How do you think draft is going to be different or similar to Game 2, Joseph?
It's definitely an interesting one. I don't really think there was anything wrong when it came to the champions picked necessarily. For me, it was more down to the execution of certain points of what their win condition was for Frostbite anyway.
Yeah, I would very much agree. I definitely think it was worth practicing sort of drafts like that, and I think drafts like that are very interesting. Definitely difficult to have that level of coordination. Definitely dive comps are more difficult to pull off than sort of team fight traditional front to back comps. But yeah, definitely worth giving it a shot. There was definitely some team fights there that showed a lot of promise. Do unfortunately lose the game, but just sort of like it would be interesting to see if they want to have another crack at it, because obviously they're going to have another go, have another match here.
Yes, definitely. There is a very good chance that they might resort back to a simpler front to back. They might also do what they did against Gracelight and go for more early aggression.
They could go for more aggression. I definitely think that could suit them. I also think they could go more for team fights. So definitely reading some of the messages in chat, I feel like a slightly more simple comp would mean that they definitely pulling their weight against White Rose. This is by no means a shutout. And I feel like if they go for a slightly more easy to execute comp, I feel like Shot First did a very good...
We are into draft.
Oh, you are into draft. I do apologise. Once again, there's no noises on my side, so thank you very much.
That's fine. More or less the same sort of bands coming out on both ends with what I'm seeing.
Yeah, as we see the Renekton, obviously this is a favourite of HRLD. Very, very good in solo queue, and it has a very good win rate, so it makes sense. As we see the MF taken off, as we see the Ashe still not being banned. Instead, I think the Yone ban has now been thrown up for the side of Frostbite here on blue side. As we see the Jinx taken off from the side of White Rose, so they don't want to see it at all.
Very interesting first pick.
I mean, I do very much... Oh, right. I'm sorry. Yes, sorry, stream. Yes, I do apologise that draft wasn't there. I hope that's better. Yes, would you mind continuing the draft, please, Joseph, just while I try and sort out the stream?
Yes, of course. So on Frostbite, they had first pick Sejuani, in which case
it's up.
Oh.
It's on the stream. Continue.
Yay. So Frostbite picking the Oriana this time, interesting, and they're keeping the Ashe as well.
I feel like, yeah, it's a smart choice. Oriana is very strong at the minute, and with was it Nero showing just how strong it can be, just taking that away, as we see very much a matchup we're going to see very much at Worlds a lot, which is this Oriana versus the Syndra. So two big power picks in the mid lane taken off the board.
Yeah, both supports still need to be shown along with the top side.
So I do like the Trundle pick on the side of White Rose, just because it counters the Sejuani quite a bit. Obviously, with the percentage health shred on the Trundle ultimate, Damon will find that Sejuani's just not quite as tanky as he would expect. So Do you agree with the Varus pick on the side of White Rose?
It's certainly interesting. I'll have to see what the what White Rose pick for their support and their top laner. Because with how it's going right now, you can certainly say something about more of a poke orientation for the Syndra and the Ferris, which is still fine. But then that goes counterintuitive with the Trundle wanting to be more in their face. I do see them picking a tank top and a form of engage in the support.
Yeah, as we see the Mundo being hovered and picked, so very much tanky topside. I also wonder if they're choosing to pick Varus also because it's Corey's second most played champion, and just sort of like maybe just sort of like she plays a lot of Xayah often and would naturally be the pick, but maybe just wanting to get a bit more practice in on this Varus, as we see a classical combination in the Ashe Nautilus being locked in on the side of Frostbite.
I appreciate it, Shima. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
All about community here at Frostbite.
This is once again a very fascinating team from Frostbite. It's a little bit more front to back than last time.
Yeah. I do appreciate with the Gwen being picked up is sort of like it is that additional dive, and it is Yep. So somebody actually called it in chat. They need to think that it is Trundle support. Wow.
It is interesting.
So why do you think they've gone for this?
I couldn't tell you. I honestly could not tell you. I can No, this one has really thrown me for a loop. I can kind of see it in terms of just wanting to have a little bit more manipulation of the enemy using that pillar in certain choke points. I can see that happening. I can see it as a pretty good counter for the Nautilus as well. If the Nautilus wants to go in, all you do is throw up that pillar, and then, he can never really get onto your ADC.
That's very true, and I do wonder, though, if somebody on the side of White Rose has been cooking a little too much. I feel like the Trundle would have been fine jungle here. I don't think there was any particularly bad matchups that they were doing, and they could have just locked in a standard support. Multiple would have gone well. I feel like the Rakan would have been fine. There's probably numerous other supports you could have picked an Enchanter almost as well with the front line that you have. So surprising switch at the last minute.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the Ashe in this sort of team, for me personally anyway. Just simply because whilst Ashe does do fairly well at the start, you come into too late game when you have a Trundle, at least in a Mundo. The Ashe is not going to be doing as much damage as certain other ADCs. You could even throw in a Xayah compared to the Ashe, and I feel like that would just be a lot better overall. Even if
it wasn't comfort.
Even if it's a Kai'Sa with that slight nerf to her armor, I still feel like that would have been a bit better here as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to butcher the name, so I do apologize. Camelatine says that like the Trundle would be very useful to get rid of the armor shred, but so Meat has been playing this in solo queue. This isn't a completely off the wall, but as far as I'm aware, has only played 3 games of it. But I think they've been quite recent games.
I'm just very interested to see how it'll work, because when I think of support, Trundle is one of those I would never think of.
So I think, and I could be wrong, and someone could correct me, I believe it's a Hylissang pick, or maybe a Mickey X pick. I'm not sure quite which European sport it is. It's very good into MF, to be able to displace MF when she's ultimate, when
I can
she's
see that.
doing the ultimate. And so, like, it's a very niche pick where you can kind of just throw it up. But
So
I just...
if they want, but sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah,
then
sure.
that doesn't make sense to me because then why would you ban the MF?
Yes. And so potentially, so I'm not sure
yeah.
how quick Meat will be on his fingers, being able to throw up a pillar to a Nautilus engage. I would think the pillar would be more used to create choke points in like the river. And so I think Shimo definitely has opportunity to punish this Trundle in the laning phase. And win roaming, as we're finally getting down to the end of this 3-minute delay.
I'm very sure that's Echo, isn't it?
That's what?
Well, the person talking about Trundle in the chat, I'm very sure that's Echo, isn't it? Yeah. How you doing, Echo?
Should be good, as we're just moving over.
Fair enough.
But as we see, so the Varus has gone Cleanse, and the Trundle has gone Exhaust. So I think with the Exhaust, I don't know if that would be the most optimal. I suppose it makes sense, but for potentially the Gwen, later on in team fights, just be able to throw the Exhaust on the Gwen to both slow her down and reduce the damage.
Yeah, not to mention, it's very good for for the Ash and everything as well. If you just want to slow her down, attack the Sejuani or the Nautilus without taking too much damage from that as well.
Yeah, as we do see a pause just at the beginning of the game here, so just apologies while this is happening. Hopefully it won't be quite as long as the last one. That was an incredibly long pause. As we can just talk about these picks. So yeah, very interesting that on the top side it's sort of Ghost TP versus Ghost TP. So I feel like that kind of favors the Mundo a little bit, just because the cleavers can slow down an enemy Gwen quite a bit. But of course the Mundo will struggle to land the cleavers during the laning phase with Gwen's, is it Hallowed Mist or is that the Senna W? I'm not quite sure. But
I
yeah,
think that's the one that Hallowed Mist.
Yeah, I forget what the Gwen Ring of Nope is called.
The anti-fun zone.
The anti-fun zone, yeah.
The anti-fun zone.
But yeah, thinking about the anti-fun zone, I definitely think that Gwen is a very good pick because Lee Sin Q, Mundo Cleaver, Syndra Stun, and like even Trundle Pillar and Varus, is it QW? All are sort of long ranged, and she will not feel the effects of those while the circle of non-fun is out. So yeah, potentially a very good pick, and of course it counters the Trundle as well, as Mystics have shown quite a few times during this season.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Gwen could make or break this game, honestly.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, I think favours Frostbite, because HLRD had a very, very good game last game.
Yeah.
Certainly managed to keep them in it for a lot longer than the way it was looking, certainly after the first two skirmishes. So, yeah, definitely managed to bring them back in it and definitely made some good plays. So, yeah, looking to also have an additional carry performance on this Gwen.
Yeah, and especially with how the team is now, you are relying more on that front to back than you are trying to get those sort of little attacks from the outside.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, reading the chat again, everyone, it is the ADC has disconnected again. But this time it's on the side of Frostbite. So it is Shot First who is disconnected this time. And should be able to get back in as we're just waiting for someone to return from getting a drink. So, yeah, we'll be getting back into game shortly. Sorry for cutting you off.
With what I'm seeing, Frostbite are actually ready to go. It is now down to 2 white rows to be ready.
Yeah.
Someone must have just gone for a bathroom break or something.
Yeah, like just based off the first game, I feel like Frostbite will have a very, very diff game if they manage to stop this Lee Sin getting so far ahead. So Elmar's shown, like season after season, he's been a very consistent, very reliable, very good jungler. And I believe the scoreline was Sarah's 7-0-1, 7-0-3 at some point. So before the Camille managed to shut the Lee Sin down. So yeah, Frostbite will obviously be aiming to have slightly better skirmishes early on, and yeah, probably play a bit more of a calmer game.
And here we go. I'll pause at 20 seconds.
Yes, please. As we see just the standard replay pause here for a long pause in game. This is standard. I actually learned that this happens. This pause, like this video pause, happens every time there is an in-game pause, and Riot do not know where it comes from. So, actually, I made that a little bit up. I will pause at 20 seconds, which I am there now.
I am there now as well.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. As we see a potential 5 stack in the bottom bush, potentially looking to catch people out.
Yeah, if this works out well, then oof.
Yeah, it would be good. So
Very good on both sides.
Ooh, just standing there enticingly in front. Is there going to be a flash? Ooh, and flash forced. So Corey no longer has flash on this Varus, meaning that the Damon has a target for this Sejuani.
This does mean that that White Rose can get into that blue side jungle at the top, as you see Lee Sin getting down a ward.
Will they look to as checking the bush? Not much is going to come from that, it seems. But yes, this ward is also given great vision for White Rose. So you see a few autos on the top side. Lee Sin just gets there first. Can the Lee Sin manage to get this Gwen down? Oh, Sejuani stun, getting it first. Oh, just managed to execute the Lee Sin before. And now with no flash, this Mundo is looking very, very in a bad spot there as it's matched 2 kills for 0. Frostbite already starting better.
HRLD stay alive through all of that. That to me is the most surprising part.
Lucky boy. As we also saw a very good hook by Shimo, forcing the cleanse out of Corey. So this Varus now is completely summonerless. So very much should be a target for Frostbite. As we see level 2s coming in, and White Rose being zoned off the wave.
This Lee Sin did very, very well early on.
Sorry,
very behind now.
I can hear you eating, so I can just take over as you're just finishing that off. Lee Sin looking to invade here. So Lee Sin has taken one camp, his red buff, and he's invading the Sejuani red. So maybe the Lee Sin thinks it's on the other side. We're likely going to see some action here. Oh, the Sejuani has found out the Lee Sin, as we see Frostbite here collapsing first. Able to get out through the mid lane river ward there. But as we see the Lee Sin potentially coming in for a gank on the bot side, he doesn't stop. A ward will spot him out. But yeah, maybe the Lee Sin knowing he's behind, just looking to sort of... Oh, as we see the flash forward from the Trundle, eating the hook. Oh, looks like the Lee Sin will be able to finish this off. Flash forward from the Sejuani, able to deny the Q. Can the Ashe manage to get this forward? As we see the Lee Sin going in, just managed to kill it off, but now it's put the Sejuani in a bad place. Likely going to go down. And so that flash forward by Trundle really managed to get a double kill for the side of White Rose.
Just... once again, just overforcing it just a little bit too much. You know, you managed to keep the Lee Sin away. He was going to have to go back with that low HP. Sure, Lee Sin still does die, but you know, getting it's just not worth it on Gladiator's side.
Yeah, I was personally very, very surprised. I feel like Meat Shield is having a very, very good series. I was suspecting he might be one of the weaker points to do with his White Rose, and definitely a point to attack. But he has proved at meet at least that he is nothing but, and he really is having a fantastic sort of like series, being able to predict, sort of like able to dictate this bot lane essentially.
Yeah, he's really shown his worth. Honestly, he showed himself just to be a really good support who just sort of understands what the enemy is going to do. Getting that pillar behind Nautilus, flashing in front of him essentially, so the Nautilus can't escape. It was all really good. It nearly turned out bad, but just once again, shot first, just doing a little bit too much.
Yeah. So, and the Sejuani dying as well also has consequences for the jungle in the fact that the Lee Sin has managed to now catch up on CS. So, even though the gank looked a bit like a desperation play to me, it ended up working out and sort of has managed to equalize sort of the farmers. We see this Lee Sin again mid lane looking for a gank. Managing to land it, but just the Orianna is just a little bit too close to her turret.
Yeah, he has caught up in CS, but he's still good 500 gold down from this Sejuani.
Yes.
Then again, just to make up for it, this Varus is a good 500 gold up, nearly 600 even.
As we see, the Syndra with Nero getting slightly favourable trades, consistent favourable trades against Sheikah. Also hitting 6 but out of mana, so not much is going to be happening, even though the Sejuani is hovering. So with the first objective up in this Drake, what do you want to see from both teams to sort of secure this first objective?
In terms of getting the Drake, I really want either side just to start pushing the wave in, get that momentum in both the middle and this bot lane. We do see that the Sejuani and the Lee Sin are around this spot side. I feel like there's going to be a good 3v3 fight at some point.
Well, potentially. Unfortunately for the Sejuani, the White Rose has actually started up this Drake, and I don't think Frostbite knows.
Yeah, there's no fishing on the dragon.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to take it, and with Arctic Assault down on the side of the Sejuani, that is a good 15-second cooldown, roughly at level 1. So yeah, White Rose get away with murder there, and just managed to steal the Drake away for almost no loss.
I would have just wanted to see Gladiators bot side just push that wave, and then move in with the Sejuani into that dragon pit.
Yeah.
However, they tried something and it didn't work out when that happens. At least they were on the same page.
Yeah. I mean, at worst, the Sejuani's just covered the Ashe to be able to get the wave in. So, not the end of the world. As either there's a ward on the Krugs, or yes, there is a ward. So the Gwen has walked in and placed a ward. There's a very good ward there by HRLD to be able to spot out this Lee Sin, so they know which way he's pathing and where he will be. Roughly when he hits 6 as well. So the Ashe and the Nautilus will have to play a little more defensive.
I don't think Elmar. I don't know which wall we're talking about.
Sorry, it was on Krugs. I do apologise.
Oh,
so, one thing I will say, I feel like Damon's making a little bit of a mistake here. I feel like what he has done with his clear has been very inefficient over the past couple of minutes. So, he took Krugs and then he ran all the way and then took. Oh, as we see, flash in. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I do, but as we see a 1-for-1 trade, I'm not sure who wins this in the Nautilus and the Trundle here.
Trundle would definitely win it.
So, did you see what happened? I apologise, I didn't see.
Essentially, the Ashe and the Varus started to trade, in which they both more or less ulted each other. Kitsune used her cleanse. Nautilus came down, in which they both just killed each other.
Okay. Which I can imagine kind of favours Corey here, as we see the Sejuani landing Grayson Prizzle on the Lee Sin, once again just managing to get away, as we see the Nautilus hooking in on this Trundle, and again flashed away. So White Rose here scrambling from a very good Frostbite engage here, but unfortunately not getting the kills.
But once again, they're forcing that Lee Sin to go back, which just gives a little, it relieves a little bit more pressure from the lanes for a little bit. But once again, I'm just happy to see that they're not pulling the trigger too much,
Yeah, no, I agree. As we see an all-in the mid side, both ultimates available. Shockwave is here. Oh, as we see just autos. Autos just managing to get down this Syndra, so very, very well played on the side of Sheikah. As we see Hex Slash forward, not sure if the Frostbite bot lane want this, just with the fact that the Trundle is level 6 and the ultimate very much shredding down that Nautilus, as we see the Varus ultimate hit as well, and it's a double kill for the bot lane, and by the looks of things, the Sejuani is virtually helpless. But a TP match by the Mundo. Can the Gwen kill them before the Mundo comes in? Oh, misses the second thing of needlework, so the damage just isn't there. And another kill going over to White Rose.
Just
you're gonna say it again, aren't you? It's true.
Broken records.
It's true.
I just feel like
you know what? It's true. It really is true. There's just slight overextensions here are just causing it, and it's like it gets worse as well. So the Sejuani hasn't base, so doesn't really have much combat power, but he's on the bot side of the map, and the Lee Sin takes Rift Herald. Once again, the client not favouring, showing Shelly being taken. And the Sejuani showing means that there's Lee Sin right back into this game, taking the Sejuani's camps on the bot side. It's just sort of like, I feel like Elmar's having a very, very good game, despite the fact he was put up behind early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's he hasn't let what happened at the start of the game get to him. In fact, he might even just get a kill. Yeah, look at that.
Lovely setup there for the Lee Sin being very selfless there and donating a kill over to this Syndra. So yeah, very well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate what the Gladiators bot side were looking for. They saw that the Varus was by himself, Nautilus Hex flashing in, not seeing the Trundle come down, which gets him killed, gets the Ashe killed, which but
still seen going in, double ultimate landing, slight over commitment there of CC. I think the CC has run out here. Can they burst down the Trundle before the TP arrives in? Gets it down, Syndra's here, but the Ashe is very, very low. Executed with the ultimate there, as we see the front line falling now with the Nautilus going down, as with a TP expended on the side of White Rose. It is a 2-for-1 on the favour of White Rose.
Yeah. And Orianna couldn't come down with the Syndra simply because Orianna used her TP to get back into lane.
Yep. I mean, you can't blame the Orianna for that, though. She didn't know a fight was going to happen.
Oh, no, certainly not, but I'm just trying to think about it in a sense. I don't know whether that's just simple communication issues from Gladiator side, not talking about there being a potential pick on the bot side.
Oh, goes in, looking for the steal. I feel like this might only be a one-way trip. Shockwave is good, but I just don't think the damage is there. I'm slightly confused by that play. The blast pod was there. It was, as a jungler, I feel like with the blast plant was there, you take the blast plant over, you go for the smite steal. Fair enough if you want to go for it. Risky, but you can go for it. But then you have the Arctic Assault. You've got the Q to be able to get out of dodge, and I just feel, if you use the Q to get over, you don't get out again.
Yeah, there's just smaller little mistakes, and they're really starting to bring the advantage over to White Rose. They were behind by about like 500 gold, and they've brought it back to pretty much a 3k gold lead.
So, what do you think about where the gold is for both sides? As we see the Trundle trying to make something happen on the Ashe, the Pillar is good to be able to slow down. Ultimate there on the side, but doesn't need it. The Varus damage now just really absurd. So. Yeah, as another kill goes over.
that to me is just very selfish from the Ash. You know your support isn't there. You know that the enemy bot lane are stronger. You know.
Yeah.
You just have to play safe.
As we do see the Gwen damage will be coming through with that true damage, but yes, where the bot tower does go down as we see this Trundle ganking mid lane, forcing the flash with the pillar as well. So yeah, everywhere.
Seems like they want to really open up this this mid.
As we see the Lee Sin getting a bit of his int out of his system there, dying under the tower. Can the Mundo get out? He's popped the ultimate. He should be able to heal through any damage that comes through. But yeah, I don't know what to call that except an int play from Elmar there.
It was just very greedy. Probably not expecting to take as many turret hits as he took.
I mean, do you think he should have popped the Rift Herald beforehand? Or
I would have definitely said so, yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Anyway, so 15 minutes in, no objectives on, so it looks like you're going to be able to farm up. Anyway, I'll return to the question on just sort of like how can Frostbite try to shut down this Varus and Syndra combination? What do they need to do?
Well, you have a very, very good ultimate in the Sojuani, in the Nautilus. You have good ways to get onto him in the Orianna, in the Gwen, and even with the Ashe ultimate as well. They still have a lot of tools at their disposal to take down these two. It's just a matter of just coming together as a team, picking a target, sticking to that target, and just making sure that they die.
Yeah, I feel like I mean I absolutely agree. It's what I would be saying as well if I was on Frostbite Gladiators here. Just sort of like you've got a good pick comp, sort of play to it. I think you could look to play around the Gwen, but you could also just look to let the Gwen farm up, and you'll see her with ridiculous damage later on.
Yeah, this Varus has like 2k gold over the Syndra, and a good 3,000 gold over anyone else over on the Gladiator side. But that does a very good cleanse.
Lovely cleanse. Captain Jackie in it now leaves the Ashe completely exposed with the Varus ultimate. Oh, and the Syndra execute with her ultimate as well, managing to burst the Nautilus down even. So one thing I was just about to comment on, it's very difficult for Frostbite to look to picks. If you look at the vision control on the side of White Rose, just that bot side jungle, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wards placed in the enemy bot side alone, and that's not including the Scuttle Crown.
Yeah. Vision wins you games, what can I say?
It is. So, by the looks of things, White Rose are not, Frostbite are not going to contest this Rift Herald. Where would you put the Rift Herald if you were White Rose to close this game out faster?
You see that Dragon is coming up soon. You could also potentially try and hold it for a little bit, try and maybe push it down bot side. You can also try and get that second turret down mid, really open up that central area just to allow the team to get more wards down throughout the place.
Yeah, so I'm slightly worried here because I feel like Frostbite are looking to contest this Drake, whereas I feel like they should be trading for objectives on the other side of the map. As the Scatter of the Weak lands, a little bit of chip damage down on this Nautilus, but nothing has stuck so far. But with the Honey Fruit in the river, able to heal up as we have now a Nautilus at half health. So you see a kick in from the Lee Sin. They're looking to target down this Orianna and easily managing to fill her off. And now I just feel like all Frostbite can run. The Gwen can do nothing here but dive. She can get to the Blast Plant, she can make it, but I just don't think that's an option as a second member of Gladiator falls. I really feel there could have been a better call there. What do you think?
It was to be fair, it was a really good chain of CC from White Rose's side to lock down that Orianna. I would have definitely given this dragon up. This dragon is only their third. It isn't soul. Try and get something done top. Try and push down the mid lane.
Flat as sniped by Corey here. She's really looking confident on this Varus. So, yeah, flash from shot first and just couldn't get away from the range. This range is really proving a problem for Frostbite. Sorry, you were saying.
Oh, I was more or less done with my
Okay.
with my words. I will say, yeah, this Varus is turbo ahead. I would not be surprised if they could nearly finish their next item.
As they
Yeah,
do, they just buy a Lord Dom.
3 items, pre 20 minutes. I mean, if I was Corey at this point in time, I would be a very happy ADC.
Yeah, I mean, she's got flash. She'll have climbs up in a few seconds. I forget what the Varus ultimate is called. Can you remind me what it is? Do you know?
No clue.
No clue.
If we are talking names of abilities, I don't know a single one.
So we see potentially the Sejuani being caught out without a dash, but managing to get away. The Varus can't quite get through this. Can't quite get through a Sejuani that quick. As we see just the top lane slap and tickle that we see that the camera loves to pan to.
Mm-hmm.
We potentially see a Syndra coming to gank here, so the mid laner looking out for the top laner. Misses the stun, but if just gets in melee range, the ultimate and Q's will finish her off there for another kill for White Rose.
Yeah, but, I mean, very good gank. That's one of Gladiator's strongest members currently out the way. It just means that there's a very good chance that they will go for this Baron.
Yeah. Do they need to look for a pick first, or do you think they can just start it up?
I personally don't think so. When you are this far ahead and there's already one person who is down, I would have just gone for it straight away. Although at this point, since the Gwen is now back up and they haven't done it, I think that's just a little bit too much hesitation on the side of White Rose. I can at least understand it. You know, there is still the chance that the Sejuani could potentially take it away, and if you are this far ahead, you don't want to give anything away for free.
That's true. Like, the game is White Rose to lose. Like, the game is in their hands. They just need to finish it off. So we see potentially the Lee Sin with the kick dissuading the. It's still seeing a chase here, though. The Gwen is still managing to get on top of this Lee Sin. The Lee Sin trying to use all the tricks to get out. I just don't. This Gwen is very deep, unfortunately. Lee Sin knows he can turn it around now, and the Gwen is now surrounded by White Rose and goes down. And now they might potentially look for this Baron.
Man, I wonder what to say about that.
As we see the Mundo popping his ultimate and going forward, looks like White Rose want to put this to bed. The front line just can't withstand the damage coming out of this Varus. The front line melts and the back line's not going to do anything else. As another 2 kills goes over to White Rose. Just excellent popping of buttons there by the Mundo, going where he pleases. Is going to lead to a Baron here for White Rose.
I don't see this. I personally don't see this game going over 30 minutes if White Rose carry on the way that they are doing.
It's. I mean, how would you describe it then? Like, what are White Rose doing so well? I mean, I would agree with you, but it's just explain why you think that this game isn't going to last another 7 minutes.
Just simply with how things are right now, they are playing around the conditions which are going to make them win. They're playing around the Syndra, they're playing around the Varus very, very well. Like, even now, that Syndra has not died because of the Trundle being around. Like,
yeah.
There's always someone who is around the people doing damage. There's always someone around. Unless you're this Varus.
Yeah. Oh, the damage isn't quite there yet. Can these two tanky boys get through? The Varus is shredding them down. The Ashe can't really stay in range very much, and this Varus is just too accelerated. A triple kill for Corey on this
if the Ash was there with them, I feel like that Varus would be dead.
Yeah.
Again, it's just a bit of miscommunication.
I also feel like it was unfortunate that Ash already didn't have the arrow because she missed it on the topside play.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like it was a good arrow to send, but it just meant that like going forward there was going to be difficult, as we see just this Trundle alone running at an Orianna, very bold as you like.
I do understand trying to go for those arrows. However, when you are this far behind, I would personally reserve them just to try and go for easier targets that are closer by.
I would agree, as we see now the soul coming through. So remember that this is the buff patch now, so individual drakes mean less, soul means more. So I think last time soul was worth about 3,000 in stats. It should be worth about 4,000 now. Unfortunately, going missing. Oh, the shockwave catching out the Varus there, down to below 200 health. But they just don't have the range damage. The arrow misses, unfortunately. The Gwen is coming in, though. Can they do it? Glacial Prism misses from the Sejuani, but the slow still hits. They're going to get on top of this Varus. They get the shutdown on top of the Varus. Now, I don't think there's much damage left. Syndra coming in with the Lee Sin, so can they keep finishing it off? Health bars are low there on the side of Frostbite. Huge kick through 3 on the for Elmar on this Lee Sin, and that just the CC just means that they can't withstand the damage coming through. And can Damon get out? His health bar might just not be enough, so that is an ace for the side of White Rose. But it is a 5 for 2. But that's still very much in favour on White Rose.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that, just with how far White Rose are now, even if you take away their member that has the most gold, just with how much gold everyone else has, it just doesn't matter at this point in time.
I agree, you've got to get the shutdown, and like the Varus was worth a lot of money. Oof, the Syndra damage. But yeah, the Syndra still does a lot of damage, and this Lee Sin isn't even at 2 items yet, but it still will be able to do follow up with a kick, and still being able to CC is still huge.
They still get the shutdown and the victory of at least killing the Varus. It is but a Pyrrhic victory, sadly.
Yes. I feel like it is. I very much feel like the writing is on the wall. Frostbite trying to make moves, you've got to admire them for it. But yeah, this is the slow death we feel. We are slightly feel as we see the Mundo popping Ghost. I don't think there's much that the Senju
does not care.
He doesn't. This is why I love playing Mundo. The shockwave does take him away though, and all of a sudden White Rose are just underneath his tower without much, but the healing is just too much. They're just hitting them with their wallets. All the CC's excellent on Frostbite, and it's just not meaning anything. There just isn't the damage. The stopwatch for the Lee Sin. The Lee Sin will go down. The shutdown will go over to the Ash.
They also killed the Mundo.
They did, so it's 2 for 1, but as Syndra assassinates the Ash, not often you can say that, as we see now Frostbite being slightly overextended, I'll say it this time, and we just see the chase down potential. This Trundle is just coming up trumps and just being able to chase down these White Rose members. They're still after this Gwen. With the health bar, she should be okay, but
yeah. I do feel like White Rose are starting to get a little more clumsy at this point in time. However, just with how far ahead they are, they don't need to pay too much attention to
I would agree. It's complacent is almost the word I would use. I would very much agree. I'd cast it, but she's dead before I can say anything.
This is just like that one Simpsons meme right now.
Yeah. It's like, I would agree. It's like, it's 2v3 under the tower, but the Trundle can heal through it. This Mundo will not take any damage with his items and just can tank up as much as he wants. Doesn't matter what this Gwen does. There's so much damage there. As this will be either double in hit, but likely this will be the game.
And that's all she wrote, sadly. However, very good result on White Rose. This guarantees them first place in this group.
It does, as we see the Mundo go down. But yeah, this is a fine victory on the side of White Rose. Top of the group now, looking very impressive. Definitely looking forward to seeing what they can do in playoffs. They're definitely going to be thinking about going for a title potentially. They certainly have some excellent carries and some excellent team play. As White Rose are just trying to pad their KDA, they will finish eventually. As White Rose wins Game 3 of this best of 3 series. So congratulations, White Rose.
Yeah, very two very solid performances from White Rose, even at the start of this of this third game technically.
Yes, third game technically.
So
I will see if there is an interview that can be achieved. While I just ask, why do you think White Rose why do you think they got so far ahead in both of their games?
I personally feel like it is just they simply have better coordination in their team. As you saw, simply because Gladiators were trying to get too much from certain fights, trying to get that one extra kill, trying to just reach a little bit too far. It simply put them in positions where White Rose could mop them up, could, secure objectives, and those little leads with the communication they had, along with the effectiveness of their plans, it simply brought those 1 or 2Ks, that 1 or 2K gold lead they had, and it just snowballed it completely.
I have slightly overbooked. We have multiple people wanting to come in and do it. I'll see if I can get someone. Yes, sorry. Let me just try and do this. So, what do you think this means going forward for Frostbite going into playoffs? So, how would you, if you were the coach, if you were looking forward, how would you look to tackle the first game?
I would look at those two performances, and essentially what I have been saying now is the players on Gladiators were just a bit too greedy, in my opinion. They just need to bring it back a little bit. They already did well getting that Lee Sin behind at the start. Just take the small victories. Don't try and overforce, because as you have seen, if you try it too much, you're going to get your hand bit and your life lost.
Yep, I would agree.
So really, I would just say just work on the discipline. Try and focus, I would say, more on a specific comp, and just get that ironed out.
So you sound very serious when you say that. It's personal, but yes, I would agree. There's definitely so a little bit of team coordination that could be improved.
I will say that I have seen that there have been quite a few roster changes in Gladiators, so I can't blame them too much for that.
So we might get someone from White Rose in for interview, but first we're going to interview Sheikah for Frost. Oh, sorry. So currently I'm seeing. Oh, so Sheikah is here with us now. Hello, Sheikah.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
So yeah, we unfortunately Frostbite lost. So where do you think would be the major points of improvements you guys will be focusing on going into playoffs?
Making sure that we can stick to our game plans and play together properly as a team, I think, are the big things that those games especially showed we're struggling to do. So I think those are the biggest points of improvement for us to look at heading into the start of playoffs.
Okay, so how would you rate your own personal performance then during this series? Do you think you played well? Do you think that like you didn't play well? Sort of like, what? How do you feel?
I think I had moments of brilliance. I had moments of somewhere middling on the scale overall. I think if I were to rate it by game two significantly better than game one, but overall sort of middling performance. I'm not a mid main, so I'm happy enough as is with being able to find little things to do rather than massive carry opportunities. Just not used to the role.
Yeah, I did see that on your solo queue. I was trying to see what mid lane champions you had played, and I just saw ADCs primarily. That made
Yeah.
my life a little bit harder.
I played pretty much anything and everything.
However, I will say, having faced Grace Light last week and now facing White Rose, who are now, I would say, officially the top place team. They are first, guaranteed. Seeing the differences in the teams, where would you say you would have to improve going from a weaker team as Grace Light to the literal best team at this point in time?
Tough to say. It's very tough to say. I think Grace Light had other things going on, right? I think if I remember correctly, they've dropped from the league entirely at this point.
They have.
So that there may have been other things going on there that hindered them as a team, hindered the actual show of skill from that team. But White Rose Academy today showed another level of league that we hadn't been tested with yet. I think is the big thing. So I think if words are hard, I apologize.
That's all right.
If we can sort of clean up different aspects, like previously mentioned, and a couple of micro aspects, playoffs shouldn't be as hard as today looked. I think we were all, none of us were 100%, given the fact that we were going through all kinds of issues. Just a bit of a long wait to get into that first game. We weren't really on the ball going into it, and then game two was unfortunate. We made a couple of mistakes early, despite having a really good level one, and it fell from our grasp. But if we can clean it up for playoffs, it shouldn't be a problem.
For a personal question, just for my sanity, why were you guys overextending so much?
That's just an issue we have had for a while as a team. Is with me being off-rolled and Damon being our main shot caller, we are struggling to find someone to speak up when we can't be somewhere. So maybe sometimes we're a bit absorbed in the situation, or we're just like, okay, I'm this far off an item, or this is coming up, I can catch this many more waves, but not really taking stock of the grand scheme of things around us. So we overextend, we get caught, we die, it throws the game plan off entirely. We're trying to find someone who, when they see that someone's going up a bit too far, they pipe up and say, you can't be there. Or we're trying to condition ourselves to be like, I can't walk up here, look at the map. It's just a matter of getting into that groove. I think for a couple of people, they haven't necessarily played in a competitive environment. They've been on the back end of it, but they've not played in one. Playing and coaching / whatever else is very different. And then for others, it's just getting back into good habits.
Yeah, I appreciate your honesty.
So I will just end with a positive question at least. What good takeaways do you think you will take away from this series? Because we've said like, oh, what can you do to improve? But there has to be some positives at least that you'll go and say, do you know what? We've massively improved on this, or this person really stepped it up when it came to, I don't know, communication or pings or whatever it is. But what positives will you take away?
I think the level one situation is the biggest thing that we improved on. I mean, like in game one, we didn't make anything happen despite knowing we could, and then in game two, we did make it happen and came off much better for it. Even in scrims and in previous games, we've looked to maybe try things level one, but different aspects have kicked up, made it a little bit harder to kick into. So we take a step back, we say, okay, we'll work on it. And so I think that level one in game two just showed a big improvement for us being on the same page for what we want off of a level 1, 2, 3.
Nice, good to know. So, thank you very much for having that quick interview with us, and obviously, best of luck for playoffs. We will obviously be covering here on Frostbite. But yeah, thank you very much. I am now just going to bring over both Corey and Meat. So this is the bot lane from White Rose Academy 2, I should say. So congratulations, guys. You both must be happy.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Very
Yeah,
happy.
it was very very well played from both of you guys. I was very confused at the Chunder pick at first, but
Yeah,
you
please
really
explain
done
that. That was going to be my question.
Mhm.
So the Trundle support's been a thing for a while. Just because you know what typical VL mid lane junglers are like. They like their tanks, and we all know Trundle's a really good pick into Sejuani. It forces him to change his summoner. And
Do you mean
we've played it a
runes?
few times.
You mean
Yeah,
runes,
sorry,
right?
runes. I meant runes. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Which they did correctly. So fair play to the jungler today.
Yeah.
But it's actually really good into certain matchups. So that's why we were happy to kind of take it in the bot lane. I've played it with the team before as well, and I've actually pulled out in VL before. Shout out to Shenzhen. He's felt it before.
Yeah, so just because there's a question in chat, who would you guys rate as the most valuable player for that series?
For this series.
Yeah.
Probably shout out to Elmar. Guy popped off.
Yeah, I would have
True.
personally said Elmar myself.
He gets away with murder. He limit tests literally every second of the game. And he's that fucking good at the game that he just gets away with it all the time. So, yeah, my vote would be for Elmar for sure.
Yeah, mine as well.
Yeah, it's
Elmar popped off.
Yeah.
normal day for us in bot lane, to be fair. So,
Yeah, I mean, I felt like he also had a very good game. He would have been my vote as well, just because on Lee Sin he managed to get away many times with like a slither of HP, and baited Frostbite in to go for the kill because he might have a bounty on him, or it looks like a free kill and it ends up it's not a free kill.
yeah, it's quite the opposite. But no, he's good at that sort of thing.
So playoffs, you guys, unless we've drastically read the standings wrong, you guys are now first.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, so what are you guys thinking going into playoffs? So your first match is going to be against Prime Oilers. So will you be doing anything different? What will you be doing to prepare? Will you be doing the same thing?
So we faced Prime Oilers quite early in the split, didn't we? They are a different team now, I think. Stylistically and whatnot, they pulled off some really good wins against some competition in the league. So I'm excited to face an actual bot lane that want to play the game. So that'll be fun. I don't know about you, Corey.
No, I'm looking forward to playing against Jensen again on the bot lane. Last time, I think when we played him, he had a different support, like his substitute.
Yeah, he might have. Yeah.
So I wanna see him and Ottery together.
That should be very good. So the Prime Oilers managed to beat Deja Vu, Kamikaze Donkeys. Still not a fan of the name. So yeah, they clearly do have like some good players who can carry games against good teams. So yeah, they might be ranked fourth place, but yeah, they still definitely could form some upsets.
Mhm. And speaking of Deja Vu, they are the only team to have beaten you in this group stage. I assume you took some things away from that game, and are you hoping to see them at some point within the playoffs?
Oh, absolutely. It should be a banger of a game, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, the better team on the day won. Obviously, they were much more coordinated. They had a particular style that they played against us. And we've played them since in scrims and whatnot, and got a one up on them. But that's scrims, right? It's not VL official match. But we have a good read on them now, to be fair. I've heard they made some roster changes or something, which will probably help them out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting them as soon as possible. Like, the sooner the better. Don't care about the final. Like, just get us against them as soon as possible.
Lovely.
So my final question is purely from like an org owner's perspective slash coach. So you guys, as far as I'm aware, have been together for most of the split, right? I don't think there's been too many roster moves, correct?
I do
yeah.
know that Corey has played with 2 other supports.
Okay. But what have you guys? So we've just witnessed quite a really good game of League of Legends. You were well coordinated as a team. You know, you certainly look good. How have you worked on yourselves as a team? Like, what have you focused on throughout the season to go from where you were at to where you are now? Like, what do you think has been the most you have improved on, which could be attributed to the success that you are having now?
We tried to scrim 2-3 times a week. We scrim outside of VL. We try and scrim much better teams on paper, which sometimes results in losses, but there's always something to learn from those games, to be fair. So we just try and play the best opponents that we can. It's not without its issues, right? Sometimes you just get spanked by diamonds, but that's fine. Something to learn. And stylistically, I don't think we've really changed much, have we, Corey? Like, we're stomping every bot lane. Elmar gets away with murder. Sam's just really consistent. Top lane doesn't matter. We don't talk about top lane, but
No
Hey,
one does.
nice to Publer. He's doing his job. He's doing his job.
yeah, he's the second meat shield of the
Exactly.
team today, especially. But stylistically, no, I don't think we've really changed. A lot of the time, we just have better hands than other players.
Well, you heard it there here first, folks. So if anybody wants to take that away from them, you can meet them in playoffs. So that was my final question. Do you have another question, Joseph? Or
Yeah,
is
I
that it?
mean, we did be sorry in game 3, technically, that the start didn't go so well for your jungler. What was he like in terms of mentally? Was he like fine? Was he like knowing that he could come back into the game? Just how was he?
So both the jungler and the top laner die. I can't remember. Did the Mundo die as well?
The Mundo also died, yes.
Yeah, so a
Yeah.
bit of a disaster in top lane on the top side of the map, but that also goes to show why that side of the map doesn't matter. Because there was such an angle on the bot side. They've picked a kill lane in Ash Nautilus. If Nautilus isn't going forward, then why play Nautilus? So we knew we could just bait him into something. Elmar recuperated really well. He did an absolute int play that he didn't even tell us about, to be fair, until after. He did it where he like flashed over a wall or something. He might have said that in pro play once or twice, but it worked out. We got Corey got double kill from it.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, after that, Seju's kind of just done 3 camps. I think at that point, he's not really ahead of Elmar, and our ADC's got 2 kills in the early game, pushed the wave in. Like, we're just really chilling in bot lane, and the game's free from that point.
No, lovely. No, that's more or less sort of my questions.
Fair enough. So thank you for everyone for watching the stream, and thank you very much to our 2 guests here from White Rose. We wish you the best in the playoffs. So please follow the channel if you haven't already, and everything from me and Frostbite. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
See you later, guys.
Bye, thank you.